Welcome to my channel. Some stories don't just break your heart. They shatter your sense of safety, your belief in trust, and your understanding of how far evil can reach. This is one of those stories. Have you ever looked at a blended family? Smiling kids, hardworking parents, a small business with dreams, and thought, they've got it all figured out? Well, the Caraga family looked just like that. 7 kids, a mother who built her life from nothing, a father who loved to cook, a family that beat the odds, until one night, everything was wiped away in the most horrifying way imaginable. Crystal was a wild spirit from childhood, adventurous, fearless, the kind of kid who wanted to try everything once. By 16, she became a mother to her first child with a man named John Higgins. They tried to make it work, even planned marriage. She had a second child with him, but the relationship didn't last. Still, Crystal never gave up. She went back to school, earned her diploma, raised her kids alone, and even became a dental assistant before chasing her dream of opening a cozy little café. That's when she met John Caraga, not the father of her children, but the man who would become her husband and the stepfather to her 2 kids. John brought 5 kids of his own from previous relationships. Together, they became a family of 9. And surprisingly, it worked. Crystal treated all 7 children equally, and John loved being a dad. They weren't rich, but they worked hard. Crystal ran her cafe with love. John cooked at their new restaurant, a Mexican spot called Tucker Shop, and locals loved it. Reviews poured in. People felt like family there. Among the kids were 2 standouts. Hunter, John's biological son, born in 2000, full of jokes and energy, loved by everyone, and John Philip, born that same year, a gentle giant with a passion for classic cars and swimming. They were good kids, and they helped at the family restaurant. But on May 27, 2017, everything changed. That evening, the family had guests over. It was just another normal night. Snacks, laughter, TV. Around 7:30 p.m., John's phone rang. He stepped outside to take the call. When he came back, he told everyone he had to run a quick errand and would be back soon. He never came back. Later that night, around 11:30 p.m., a frantic 911 call came from Hunter. He was barely audible. "I've been shot. My family. They're all dead." Then, silence. It wasn't clear if he hung up or if the killer grabbed the phone. Police rushed to the scene. The house was on fire. Inside, they found Crystal and John, both shot execution style. Hunter had been shot 3 times, but had managed to make that one final call. And just like that, 3 lives were gone. But one thing stood out. John, the father, wasn't in the house. His car was missing. Was he the killer? Surveillance footage from a nearby store showed John earlier that night, casually buying cigarettes, chatting with a driver in a silver sedan. He seemed calm, normal. Later, his body was found, miles away, shot and burned in his car deep inside a fenced-off forest area. Someone had gone through serious effort to cover up his death. So what happened? At first, police suspected maybe a family feud or revenge plot. But this family wasn't in conflict. No enemies. No love triangles. They did, however, have another business. A legal medical marijuana grow in their garage. Police found $60,000 cash in the home, $50,000 locked in a safe. Could that have been the motive? It wasn't until 2018, a year later, that police got a break. Surveillance footage from 12 days before the murders showed a man entering a supermarket wearing a Bandidos Motorcycle Club vest. His name? Danny J. Kelly Jr. And he wasn't just any biker. He had a history with John. They used to be close. He was even John's best man at his first wedding. But their friendship fell apart when John accused Danny of stealing money from him. Soon, more names surfaced. Robert Watson, leader of the local Bandidos chapter, and his brother, Johnny Watson. The Watsons weren't just members, they were deep in drug trafficking. And John Caraga, despite running a family restaurant and marijuana business, he was quietly making trips to California every month to buy a kilo of cocaine. He'd sell it back home through a mutual connection, and that connection led straight to Robert Watson. Eventually, the middleman backed out. John and Robert began dealing directly. But greed took over. Robert wanted the supplier's contact. He followed John to California. When John found out, things got tense. This, police believe, was the spark that led to a calculated, brutal massacre. Phone records showed that Danny Kelly had bought a burner phone, used only to contact John, and stopped calling the night of the murders. Witnesses identified him near the crime scene. A neighbor saw John's car fleeing, followed by a silver sedan, the same one seen earlier. Another witness saw Robert arrive at a friend's house without pants the morning after the murders, washing blood off his hands and claiming he fought a homeless man. Strange, considering he claimed his gun had been stolen that night too. It took 5 years, but in 2022, all 3 men, Danny Kelly, Robert Watson, and Johnny Watson, were arrested. The charges? First-degree murder, arson, kidnapping, destruction of evidence, and more. Each was sentenced to 4 life terms plus 46 additional years. No parole. They still claim innocence, but the evidence says otherwise. The tragedy didn't end with the murders. In 2018, John Joseph, one of the sons, died in a car crash caused by his girlfriend speeding at 190 km/h. She was later sentenced to prison for involuntary manslaughter. The family restaurant reopened, but only to raise funds for the court battles. The dream, the business, the love, all of it destroyed by drugs, greed, and betrayal. So, what can we learn from this story? Safety tips you must know after watching the Caraga family case. 1. Never mix legal and illegal businesses. Even if you're running a legitimate business, like a café or medical marijuana grow, involving yourself in illegal trades such as cocaine trafficking can create a deadly overlap. Criminal circles are not built on trust. Once you're in, you're vulnerable to blackmail, theft, and violence. Always keep your income sources clean, traceable, and separate from any shadow dealings. 2. Be wary of old friends in criminal networks. Danny was once John's best friend, best man at his wedding, but old ties don't mean lasting loyalty, especially when money or power is involved. If someone from your past resurfaces and is involved in risky behavior or shady circles, keep your distance. Past closeness is not a guarantee of present safety. 3. Understand the real risk of harmless side hustles. John believed he could quietly make extra money from buying and selling drugs on the side, away from his main business and family. But that side hustle put a target on the backs of every member of his household. If you're tempted to engage in something illegal, just once, or for quick cash, ask yourself, can I accept putting my family at risk for this? 4. Pay attention to surveillance and unusual behavior. The killers surveilled John for days, followed him, and used burner phones to avoid detection. If you ever feel you're being followed, watched, or if someone is too interested in your routine, trust your instincts. Document suspicious behavior. Change up your patterns. Let someone you trust know immediately. 5. Burner phones are a red flag. If someone you know suddenly starts using a burner, prepaid, disposable phone, especially to keep certain conversations off the record, consider that a major red flag. It's often used to hide illegal activity. If they're reaching out to you with one, it might mean you're being pulled into something dangerous. 6. Secure and limit access to large amounts of cash at home. The Caraga home had $60,000 in cash stored in a safe and other hiding spots. Large amounts of visible or known cash at home increase your risk of being targeted. If you must store cash, do so in a secured, undisclosed location, and don't let visitors or acquaintances know about it. 7. Keep trusted contacts informed about all your business dealings. If you're involved in any kind of risky transaction, even legal ones, make sure a close friend or family member knows who you're meeting, where, and when. In John's case, had someone been informed about his final meetup or the people he was dealing with, intervention could have come sooner. 8. Watch for behavioral shifts in close contacts. Robert was struggling financially, recently unemployed, and hiding $330,000 in unexplained cash. If a friend or business partner suddenly comes into unexplained wealth, becomes secretive, or shifts their behavior dramatically, don't ignore the signs. Financial desperation or greed can drive people to dangerous actions. 9. Don't rely on reputation alone to judge safety. The Bandidos Motorcycle Club had a known presence, and people in town knew who they were. But that familiarity didn't protect the Caraga family. Sometimes, people you've always known are involved in things far more dangerous than they appear. Trust behavior, not reputation. 10. Always take 911 calls and unusual messages. Seriously. Hunter's 911 call saved the timeline of the investigation. If someone ever calls you in panic or fear, even if it seems confusing or unclear, take it seriously. Call the authorities. Try to trace the call. People don't panic for no reason. 11. Fire can be a weapon, not just an accident. In this case, arson was used to destroy evidence. If you ever arrive home to see signs of forced entry, the smell of gasoline, or evidence of tampering, do not go inside. Call emergency services immediately. Fire can be a method to cover up crime. 12. Reevaluate family business boundaries. Blended families with shared businesses can be beautiful, but they also complicate responsibility and risk. Be very careful when involving your family in ventures that have outside investors, criminal exposure, or any kind of underground connection. What seems like a shared dream can turn into a shared nightmare. Crime doesn't always come in the form of strangers in the night. Sometimes it wears a familiar face. Sometimes it pretends to be your friend. Greed disguises itself as opportunity. And illegal choices, even if they seem like easy side hustles, can pull entire families into deadly consequences. If you or someone you love is dealing with illegal drug operations, even on the sidelines, please understand, it never ends well. The people you think you trust might be the same ones to betray you. Stay clean, stay aware, and always listen to your gut. If this story moved you, disturbed you, or made you think, don't forget to subscribe. We tell true stories that matter, not just to inform you, but to keep you and your loved ones safe. Final advice. Stay alert, stay aware, and always ask, who am I trusting? What do they stand to gain or lose from me? If the answer makes you uneasy, don't ignore it. Your safety and your family's safety is worth more than any amount of money.